우리 열차의 종착역입니다. 한 분도 빠짐없이 내려주시기 바랍니다.
Wait a second. Oh no. I think I missed the stop. Where am I? Gah! The doors are locked. Oh no. I was supposed to do a Korean class today at 2. I don't think I'm gonna make it. Hold on. Guys, are you there? I don't know if I get Wi-Fi in the subway very well or not. Oh, good. Some of you guys are here. Oh, there's no one else here. It's like I got stuck at the last stop or something and the train just shut off. Oh no. Okay, you guys are here. At least I get Wi-Fi reception in the trains. Am I right? Hashtag Korean Wi-Fi. Oh, Secretive, Zilly, you guys are here. Some kind of unicorn. Welcome, guys. Okay, well, so I don't know what to do. I had a Korean class planned today. I have a whole 2-hour lesson plan talking about causative verbs and, you know, how to use them and everything, but I don't know. I'm stuck in the subway. Do you guys have any ideas? How can I teach this class? Maybe I can look around for, hold on. Who left this here? Gosh. Well, golly. That's convenient. Somebody just left a full-size whiteboard in here. Huh. I wasn't really prepared for this. I had a different setup plan, but, you know, I'd say we'll work with what we got. So anyway, welcome to the live class today. I started a few minutes early, just kind of to see you guys in the chat, make sure everything gets set up. And yeah, so I don't know. I guess I'm stuck here in the subway for a couple hours, but might as well, you know, make the best use of my time while we're here anyway. So, yeah. So before we get started, though, I will just tell you guys the prerequisites. Prerequisites. What am I saying? Prerequisites. I had a friend whose brother talked like that, and we like to imitate him. He would say everything like this. Not tween. So he would say prerequisites. I remember one time I was playing a game of Warcraft with him. It's okay. We haven't started, so I'm just talking with you guys, and we'll start the actual class soon. And I remember we were playing a game of Warcraft together, and I made a server, and he was asking how to get in. But the way he asked it, he said, "Woke password, please." He wrote that in the chat, into the chat we were doing. I think it was like the Windows live chat or something at that time. And yeah, we were just busting up laughing, and me and his brother, we had no clue what he was talking about until he repeated it a bunch of times. We're like, "Oh, you want the Warcraft password?" Anyway. So I got a new eraser, but this doesn't seem to be working very well. This doesn't want to erase that well. Hold on, let me see if I can find a Kleenex around here. Let's see if this one works any better. Not really, you know. I think whenever I clean the board with chemicals, it makes the ink want to stick to the board more for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, like, I don't know. Do any of you guys know about that? If you use like the board chemicals, then it makes the ink want to stick. Anyway, so today the prerequisites are a little bit less than last time when we covered passive. Last time when we did passive tense, I had slightly higher prerequisites. Today's lesson is also an intermediate level, so I'm going to give you that warning in advance. If you're a beginner and you only know basic grammar or you're still kind of learning the alphabet, today's lesson will not be for you still. It is less difficult than passives. So I'll let you know that. It's typically when people learn passive, they've already learned causative verbs. And unlike passive verbs, most people already learn causative verbs before they learn that they're called causatives. So that's kind of a good thing in that causatives are an easier concept to grasp and easier to use than passives. But there are still some prerequisites for this lesson. Of course, you need to be able to do, just like last lesson, if you're not able to conjugate every tense of Korean, you won't be able to follow along with this lesson. So that includes present tense. Hold on, this pen's dying. Let me see if there's get rid of this pen. Let me see if there's a new pen somewhere around here. Oh, there was one right under the chair. Okay, so present tense, past tense, and future tense. So you should be pretty good. You should have a good understanding of present tense, past tense, and future tense in order to do today's lesson about causatives, or it's going to go a bit over your head. Because in order to use causatives properly, you're going to need to know especially present and past tense. Maybe even if you're not good with future, you should know present and past tense really well. So this is definitely an intermediate level lesson. Okay, this does not clean that well. I got a pack of new erasers, but I think these are not as good quality as the other ones that I was using. But we'll see. Maybe it'll work okay. All right, it's almost getting to our lesson start time. Ehimang, welcome. Yes, once again, if you just came in, welcome everybody. I am trapped in the subway, but fortunately we can still carry on with today's lesson from 2 o'clock. Yeah, because it wasn't my fault, Ehimang. It wasn't my fault, I swear. I set an alarm on my phone, but I must have silenced my phone or something, and I missed the stop completely. I apologize. It won't happen again. Let's see, anyone. A dirty whiteboard lets the ink be removed while squeaky clean one leaves space for the ink to stain. Interesting. Yeah, I think that might be true because I swear this eraser worked fine when I first pulled it out. I actually have plenty of erasers now, so I don't need any more money for the eraser fund or the pen fund. I just purchased a big bag of like 24 new markers, and I got 14 new erasers. So these are good. But I mean, I'm good as far as numbers. But I think I just cleaned the board before today's stream, and for whatever reason, I cleaned it by actually making it dirtier somehow. So it should get better though. I think it kind of did this the last time I cleaned it too. So I don't know if I want to blame, I don't know if I can blame the eraser. I think I can just blame the board for being too clean. Okay, so that's the prerequisite for this lesson. We're going to start with the lesson then. Let's see, depending on what you clean your board with. Yeah, I think so. I just used the cheap spray that was in the kit that I have. So let's get started with today's lesson. Yeah, it's 1:58, so I guess we're good. So first of all, some of you guys were asking if I'm going to be covering what a causative verb is and what causatives are. Yes, this is a completely introductory lesson to causatives. So we're going to cover all of the most commonly used causative verbs, and I'm going to explain what causative verbs are and how you can use them. So if you're not familiar with causatives already, don't worry. If you don't know what this word means, I'll tell you. Causative in Korean, specifically causative verb. Now in Korean, they're all causative verbs. So you don't have to learn some new concept. Like with passives, we had to learn passive voice and passive verbs and active voice. For this, all you have to do is learn about causative verbs. And a causative, what does that mean? Causative. There's a hint as to what this type of verb means in the name. Cause. A causative verb is a verb where you're causing someone or something, right? But usually someone, causing someone to do something. So you're causing somebody to do a verb, like instead of just going to sleep, you can cause someone to sleep, right? You can make someone sleep or even let someone sleep. You're doing something that causes them to go to sleep. Now this sounds a bit confusing, but it'll be easier once I start teaching you these verbs. It's actually not that big of a concept, but there are a lot of verbs that you have to learn. So causative verbs are just that. They're verbs where you're causing someone to do something. That's why they're called causatives in Korean. So this is actually not a new concept in Korean. If you're an intermediate learner, so if you've learned all of the beginner level grammar, then you would have probably learned, or maybe you're just learning, this grammar form. I have a video about it on my channel, but it's taught in pretty much every resource. 개 하다 and 개 만들다. And how to use this, I'll tell you what it is. You take an action verb stem, I'll just write AVS. So 하다 would become 하, 가다 would become 가, 먹다 would become 먹, and like that. So you just take the verb stem and you attach 개, and then you conjugate the verb 하다, or you conjugate the verb 만들다. And they're mostly the same. So what this form is actually the most basic type of causative verbs. This is the most basic way to change your verb into a causative. Though when you learn this form, it's not referred to as causative usually, because it's actually just a simple form that means to make someone do something or to let someone do something. So before I actually talk about causative verbs in detail and give you guys examples of that, I want to first start with the most basic type of causatives, which are actually this verb form, which is not, like I said, this is not considered a causative verb form, but it's very similar to what causative verbs do. So I think it's important to start with this form. I'm not sure if you guys are already familiar with this form or not, though. So this form, 하다 or 만들다, I said you can use either one, 개 하다 or 개 만들다. Either one can mean both to make someone do something or to let someone do something. So you might say you made somebody go to sleep using, 자다, our verb to sleep, or you can use the same form to say that you let somebody go to sleep, right? Whether it means to make or to let in a causative verb will depend completely on the context of how it's being used. Now, you might think, well, how do I know if they're saying like, make me eat food, like make me drink, or let me drink? You'll know. It's not going to be vague. If you go to a party, a company party, and you say that they made you drink something or let you drink something, it's going to mean make, right? You wouldn't go to a company party and then complain to your friend that they let you drink something or let you eat something. If you're all happy, you're like, yeah, they gave me this special meat and they made me eat the meat. It means let, right? The context will tell you what it means, whether it's make or let, but it can mean both. So if you don't want to think about it as whether it means like make or let, if that's confusing, just think of it as meaning to cause someone to do. Because causing actually can mean both making someone or letting someone to do that. You're just the cause of somebody doing something. So if you were to say, I made him eat the sushi or something, right? Then you could actually translate it as I caused him to eat sushi. Whether that meant I forced him to do it or I allowed him to do it, I was the cause of him eating sushi. So is that clear? That's what a causative means. And when you translate that into English, it will either become to make someone do something or to let someone do something, depending on the context. But that's all it is. Let's just check the chat for a moment. Yes, we are doing good on time so far. No boy group talk. We have boy group talk going on in the Discord chat. The Discord chat has a BTS channel, actually, and you have to get permission to join that. But if you join that, that's where people are always posting like BTS memes and stuff like that. So you can always check that out. Okay, so let's first talk about each of these forms one at a time. So the first one we're going to talk about is 게 만들다, which was the first one. Now I said that you can use 하다 or 만들다 both to mean make or to let. That was just for the introduction. To give you more detail, 게 하다 can mean both make or let. 게 만들다 most often just means make. So if you want to be really clear that you made someone do something, and there's an easy way to remember that because 만들다 is the verb that means to make. Like you make a cake, you make a book, or you make anything, you make a story. 만들다, make. So this one more strongly means make than let. 하다, however, can mean both. But to make things simple, so if we're just going to start, let's just think that these only mean to make, right? Let's think that these only mean to make things simpler. And this is actually not too bad if you think about both of these as only meaning to make for the time being, because it's easier to understand how they work. So let's just think of 게 하다 and 게 만들다 as both meaning to make someone do something or to make something do something if you're talking about a non-human. So let's give you an example of how you can use this form. Let's see. Let's say I made my friend wake up. 저는 my friend 친구가 I'll explain how this works. 일어나다 means to wake up, so we're going to use the verb stem of that. 일어나. So 일어나게 했어요. This is pretty weak for a new pen. I just took the cap off. Anyway, 일어나게 했어요 or 일어나게 만들었어요. So 일어나게 했어요 or 일어나게 만들었어요. Either of these are fine for to make someone do something. Now, what is it that we're doing here? We're 일어나다, which is to wake up. So the verb stem of 일어나다 is 일어나. So we attach 게, 일어나게 만들었어요 or 했어요. So 친구가, I'll explain why we use this. 일어나게 만들었어요. Literally, I made it so that my friend would wake up. Now, here's an advanced note for those of you who are upper intermediate or lower advanced. If you're not upper intermediate or lower advanced, just close your ears for a second. This 게 form here, actually, This is bad. This is a really bad pen. This K form here, actually what it literally means, and it's used in a lot of different grammar forms, what it literally means is so that, or such in a way that, right? So what this literally means is to make it such in a way that something happens, or something, whatever the verb is, whether it's a descriptive verb or an action verb. So that's the literal meaning, so that. So you can think of this form's literal meaning as to do something so that your friend wakes up, or to make the situation in such a way that your friend wakes up. Okay, everyone who's not advanced or whatever, you can listen again. So this form, however, is used together. Notice it has 친구가. In English, we would say, I made my friend wake up. So you might think you want to use the object marker. 저는 친구를 일어나게 했어요. But actually, this form, 개 하다 and 개 만들다, are used together with a regular sentence. So you wouldn't normally say 친구를 일어나다, to wake up, like a friend wakes up. 일어나다 itself cannot have an object. It just means to wake up. Like you wake up, I wake up. Did you wake up? It doesn't mean to wake a person up. That would be a different verb. It just means somebody wakes up. So this verb normally would be used with a different marker, subject marker, topic marker, for example, but could not be used with the subject marker. And actually, we learned about this last week when we talked about passive verbs. Remember I said that verbs ending with nada are typically the passive form. 일어나다, to wake up, also has nada in it. And passive verbs cannot use an object marker. They cannot use the object marker, so you cannot have or le before them because it is just a passive. It's just something happens. It's not doing something to someone. Simply your friend wakes up. So to use this form to make somebody do something, you don't have to change the grammar at all. It is exactly the same as before. You simply attach 게 and then 만들다 or 하다 and conjugate it. So in this case, you get 저는 친구가 일어나게 했어요. We'll do some more examples with that. Does that make sense so far? Billy, how are we supposed to hear you telling us to listen again when our ears are closed? Good point. Well, you heard me tell you to listen again, so some of you guys are listening. There are probably some of you still with your ears closed. Cursed to listen to Billy talk forever. It's my job. Wow. Is this lesson will be in your channel? Yeah, and I actually have a short version of this lesson already. Not quite, but short version of a lesson about causatives already on my channel that you can check out. I think I should just stop cleaning my board. I mean, I should just clean it by wiping it, but I should stop making it nice and clean so I don't have the problem of like stuff sticking to it. Unfortunately, I wanted to have a nice clean board for today, but okay, so let me give you guys another example. Let's say, oh, okay, here we go. Let's do one more example of this regular one. Okay, and then I'll go on to a little bit more. So next we have, unfortunately, this marker's dead. Let me get another one. Hold on. Yeah, let me get another blue marker. Let's see if I can find one here. If they're all like this, I'll just get a refund. Okay, oh, this one's good. Okay, here we go. There we go, if this one works nice. Okay, let's say I made the cat, or I let the cat eat a mouse. 고양이, so cat, 가. Oops. Mouse is 쥐. 쥐를 먹었어요. Let's start with this. So what does this sentence mean? You guys can write in the chat if you know what it means. 고양이가 쥐를 먹었어요. See if you guys get it. See who gets it first. Oh, is Woods RN? You're going ahead of us, but that's correct. You got a nice sentence there. The cat ate the mouse. Yeah, so there we go. So the cat, 고양이가, the cat, 쥐를, the mouse, the object, 먹었어요, ate the mouse. So pretty simple sentence. Now, what if we want to say that I made the cat eat the mouse? It's simple. I'm starting with this basic sentence first. So now we're going to say I made, or in this case, I let the cat eat a mouse. You probably didn't make the cat eat a mouse, right? I mean, you could like grab the cat and grab the mouse and like open the cat's mouth and shove the mouse into the cat's mouth, but that's not probably what you did. What you probably did is you said, here you go, cat, and you threw the cat a mouse and the cat eats the mouse. So I did it. So I let the cat eat the mouse. 저는 고양이가 쥐를. Now we have 먹다. So let's take the verb stem of 먹다 originally. So 먹다, to eat. So we get the verb stem. We attach 게. Then 했어요. So literally, I made or I let. Here, it's going to mean I let, right? In context, it sounds better as let. I caused the cat to eat the mouse. So notice how the order of the sentence, the subject marker, the object marker, these being used how they are, is exactly the same whether we're using this form or not. So it's good to think about that when you're making this form, that you're not making the cat. You're not 고양이를. What you're doing is you're making things so that the cat eats the mouse. That was what the note I kind of gave to advanced learners, is you're making things so that the cat eats the mouse, which most likely would translate as I let the cat eat the mouse. You know, maybe you don't feed your cat mice normally, but today is a special day. You're going to let the cat eat the mouse, like that. And if you want, you can add 저는 to specify that you did it. But even if you didn't add 저는, it would probably mean I, unless you said otherwise. So yeah. So I let the cat eat the mouse. Let's do another example. Oh, here, let's do this one. So I wanted to do it first with action verbs, but you can actually use this with descriptive verbs as well, and I'll show you how. So let's do, however, with action verbs, it's just as simple as just changing the ending like that. With descriptive verbs, you might have to do things a little bit differently. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, here is where it's kind of optional. Okay, if it's a descriptive verb, you can go ahead and use an object, or you can use the subject marker, but we're going to use the object here. 친구를, a friend. 슬프다 is to be sad. So 슬프게 했어요, or 슬프게 만들었어요. I made, probably not I let my friend be sad, but I made my friend sad. I caused my friend to be sad. So 슬프게 했어요 by itself just means I made sad. I made something sad. Well, what or who did you make sad? 친구를. So we can put an object marker here as well. Or if you wanted to put a subject marker, 친구가 슬프게 했어요 would be okay too, but that would slightly seem like you're saying I made things so that my friend is sad, instead of just directly I made my friend sad. Either one's okay because it would not be vague if you were to use either one. But for our last example, the cat eats the mouse, if you were to switch around the object marker or use just one or the other, it can sound vague. It can sound like you're trying to feed the cat to the mouse, or that you're trying to eat the cat, or something like that if you don't use those exact same particles. But in this case, it would be fine either way because it's not vague. There's only one object being used in this sentence, and you can use either the subject marker or the object marker. But if there's ever more than one object in the sentence, you cannot switch between the subject and the object marker. You have to use the subject marker, or it would be very vague. So think about what the sentence might mean literally. If it's possible for it to sound vague, do not use the object marker. In this case, it's not possible for the sentence to sound vague. It has to mean, either way, I made my friend sad, because there's no other object in this sentence it could mean. So that's just a note, a tip I wanted to give you guys. If you're a bit confused about that, if you're not sure, should I use the subject marker or the object marker? Just use the subject marker. It's fine, just use the subject marker. Let's see, do we have time for more examples? 18, yeah, we do. Okay, let's do another one. Make the music loud. I made the room. Okay, I have a bunch more examples, but I won't have time to do all of them. Let's see. Okay, 철수, let's do this. 철수. 철수, 시, 가. Or it's just 철수. I don't need to call him she. He's my friend. 철수가 부산에서 from 부산 서울까지 서울까지. I should do this one. Yeah, I'll do the sentence. Okay. 달리게 했어요. What do you think this sentence means? I'll give you a hint. So try to write if you think you know what it means. I'll tell you what it means one piece at a time. So we have Busan, the southern city of South Korea, and Seoul. So Seoul까지, to, up to. 부산에서, from Busan to Seoul. 달리다 means to run. 달리다 means to run. So 달리게 했어요 means you can put 저는 at the beginning if you want. It's optional. You just say 철수가. So 철수 is going to do something. What's 철수 doing? Well, 철수 is 부산에서, from Busan, 서울까지, to Seoul, 달리다, running. 철수 is going to run from Busan to Seoul. And what else? 게 했어요. So somebody made him. In this case, I made him. I caused this to happen. I caused 철수 to run from Busan to Seoul. So I'm kind of a jerk, but 철수 deserved it. So I made 철수 run from Busan to Seoul. In this case, you wouldn't do 철수를 부산에서 서울까지 달리게 했어요. It could be a bit vague, but I guess you could use it. But typically, you just want to stick with the subject marker because it's more of a longer sentence. And remember what I said, that the 게 했어요 just means to cause something to happen. So you're just causing 철수 to go from Busan to Seoul. Oh, I got a new donation. Oh, Jamie. Oh, that's right. I also got to write the other Karinas as a member. And then Jamie. Awesome. Jamie, thank you. That should help reload my subway card so I can get out of this place after the lesson's finished. Okay, yeah, let's see what you guys got. Let's see, 20 minutes in. Okay. Bob, juicy pear. Bob ran from Seoul to Busan. Well, it's from Busan to Seoul. Remember. Okay. So, yeah. So just remember that this form's literal meaning isn't just to make or to let, but its literal meaning is actually to cause things to happen so that something happens. So you're causing something to happen. What is it that you're causing to happen? Whatever verb it is you put before that form. So let's move on to the next form. So make sure we have plenty of time for today. Oh yeah, one other thing I want to say. So it's sometimes vague if you're trying to say, if you really want to specify made, like I made him do it, not just that you might have let him. There could be some situations where it might be a little bit vague whether you mean to make or to let. Let's say you want to specify. So remember I said first of all, you can use 만들다 to specify that you really mean to make. But then how do you specify that you really want to let someone do it? Oh, I got a donation. Let me check that out. 타리시. What is NZ? Oh, is it New Zealand? Sweet. There's no TM. Where's the donation dab? Oh yeah, I got to do the donation dab. Oh yeah, Jamie. Oh, first Carmenas for me, remember. Jamie for her last donation. And then we got Tarashi. Oh, I'm guessing it's Tara in English. Tarashi. Tarashi also. It's a double dab. Gotta write your name up here too. Tarashi. NZ5. All right, thank you. So there is a way to emphasize that you let somebody do something too. So if you really want to specify, you can say you made someone do something by using the 만들다 form. Oh, another donation. Carol Lindner with the €5 donation. All right, Carol, thank you. Carol. Gotta do a dab for that. Oops. Bumped the subway there. Thank you. Really appreciate it, guys. So for let, you can do that too, and it's actually not that difficult. Instead of using 하다, you use 해주다, which intermediates should know this form. 해주다 is just 하다 plus 주다. So 주다 as in to do a favor for someone. So 하다, 해주다, to do something as a favor. So if you're doing something, if you're doing something as a favor for someone, instead of just doing something, that has to translate as a let or allow. So you're letting somebody do something because you're causing them to do it. Maybe you're making them do it, but it's as a favor. So in English, we would always translate that as let. So let me think of an example of that. Yeah, here we go. 좀. I'll explain this too. So 자다, remember, tada means to sleep. So let's do 자게. Let's say, please let me sleep, or just let me sleep. 자게 해주세요. 좀. Oops, I just wrote on the side of the board. 좀 자게 해주세요. So literally this means, please cause so that I sleep. 좀 is actually an intermediate concept. It's a shortening originally of 조금, which means a little bit, but it's not used to mean a little bit. 좀 is used with commands also. So literally it means a little, a bit. But it doesn't mean please let me sleep a bit. It actually is just a softener. 좀 can be added as an adverb before any command sentence. So I know this isn't related to the lesson, I just think it's important to know. So if you add 좀 before any sort of command, specifically as an adverb, so right before the verb, for any sentence that's a command. So here the command is 해주세요. You're telling them do something for me. It's polite, but it's a command. And this makes it softer, like, hey, do you think you could please do that for me? It makes it a bit softer sounding. So I recommend using 좀 whenever you're, not 좀, but using 좀. Don't stress this, or it can sound like a, kind of like a, almost like a swear word. It sounds really mean. So keep it regular. 좀 자게 해주세요 can sound more polite and more soft when you're telling someone, hey, please do something for me, or do something for me as a command. So 자게 해주세요, please cause me to sleep. It doesn't mean, doesn't mean put me out or anything. It means please let me sleep. Literally, please cause me to sleep. So yeah, if you want to emphasize that you mean let and not make, then use 해주다. If you want to emphasize that you mean make, use 만들다. So that's pretty much all there is to this form. I could give you guys a bunch more example sentences, but I'd rather move on to the main part of the lesson, which is causatives. But I want to know, what do you guys think? I'm going to look at the chat in a minute. Does this so far make sense to you guys? Do you kind of get how these forms mean to cause someone to do something? That's what I want to be clear before I go on. If it's not really clear, I'll do a few more examples of this. So would you like me to do some more examples, or is that good enough? Let's look at the chat. Emeriliz, you're giving them the act of doing something. That's correct. Yeah, normally 해주다 by itself is to do something, is to give someone the act of you doing something, literally is what it means. Which is how you would say to please do something in English. Like, oh, I did it for him. 해줬어요. I did it for him. But the literal meaning is that. Himang, let me know if you think enough people in chat want more example sentences. If so, I can do another one. Okay. Let me do one more. I'll do one more just because I feel like it. But I won't do a bunch more. So just one more here. All right, I think the boards are racing nicely now. So it must have just been the the cleaning chemical and not the eraser and not the marker that was causing it. Because now it looks really nice and clean. Okay, let's do 음악. So music. 음악 소리. 소리 means sound, literally. But it's often used to mean sound level, as in like volume, or something's loud. If something's loud or quiet, you can say that music is loud, or you can say that sound is loud by saying the sound is big, 크다, or 작다 if it's quiet. So if you say, well, let me just finish this really quickly. If you say 소리가 크다, that means it's loud. The music or some sound is loud. Or maybe your voice, you're talking too loud. 소리가 너무 커. Voice is so loud. Or 너무 작아요. 소리가 작아요. It sounds really quiet. So a small or a big sound is how you say loud or quiet. Darling Hope are the PDFs you use for your lesson on Patreon or just in your book. Are you talking about this right here? These are all on Patreon. So they're for Patreon for everyone. Everyone who, even the $1 donation gets access to all of these PDFs. But thank you for your donation also, darling. My darling. I wonder if anyone has the real name of Darling. I'm sure some people have the real name of Darling. Anyway, thank you. Yes, more examples. The video's cutting out a bit. Really? Kind of choppy. YouTube is showing me that the stream health is really good. So maybe it's just you. I don't know. Maybe it's other people. Okay. So let's do one more example. So remember I said that if you're using descriptive verbs, if it's really clear what you're talking about, you can use an object marker. So let's do 음악 소리. So music, sound, the sound of the music. 소리를 크게 했어요. What do you think this sentence means? 크게. Remember I said the 게 means so that. 크게, 크다, big, 크게 했어요. So if you know, write in the chat. I'll explain it though. So remember, 음악 just means music. If you just say 음악 크다, that doesn't really make any sense. They typically will talk about the sound of something as being large or small, meaning loud or quiet, but not just music itself being big or small. So remember to add 소리 if you're talking about the volume. If you're talking about someone's voice, also you're like, oh, you're too loud. Your voice is too loud. They also say 소리. If you're watching TV, the 소리, the sound of the TV. They wouldn't just say TV is too big. If you said the TV is big, that means you bought a big screen TV. So remember, it's the sound that's big or small. So 음악 소리를 크게 했어요. I made, let's see if you guys wrote that. Oh, I see my whiteboard. Hold on, let me fix that. I think it's because I bumped it. There we go. Okay. Sorry. Increase the volume. Yes, increase the volume. You can say increase the volume. Or literally, I made the volume louder. I made the sound of the music louder. So I turned it up. 음악 소리를 크게 했어요. I made the volume louder. Quite literally. Okay, so now let's move on. So actually, I'm going to tell you something kind of funny. The grammar used for making this, 게 하다, 게 만들다, 게 해주다, and everything like that, is more complicated than the grammar you need for doing causative sentences with causative verbs. Isn't that great? So if you understand this basic concept, using causative verbs is actually easier than this. In fact, using causative verbs, once you understand the concept of a causative verb, is just as easy as using any other verb in Korean. So let's go into that. With a few exceptions, I'll say there are some trickier aspects of causatives, but in general, they are just as easy to use as a regular verb in Korean. So, but the first one The first one is not. The first one is a very common causative verb, which I think causes people difficulty. Get it? Causes people. Okay, sorry. This is a really common causative verb, maybe the most common causative verb, and this is the one people typically learn first, which makes things difficult because if you don't learn that concept about ke hada, ke mandirda first, then you see this verb and you learn what it means. It's very confusing, I think. I think that this is much easier after you've learned that. So that's why I wanted to do the general concept first before I talked about causatives. Now, this is a causative verb, 시키다. And it has a couple uses. This is the causative form of the verb 하다, to do. So regular verbs can have causative verb forms. Now, what that means is, instead of doing the whole ke 하다, ke 만들다, right? So instead of doing those forms, there's actually separate verbs you can also use that mean the same thing. So instead of saying 하게 만들다, right? 하다, to do. 하다, to do. For example, 청소, to do cleaning. 청소하다 means to clean, or 공부하다, to study. Let's do 청소하다 for here. So 청소하다, to do cleaning. You could say 청소하게 만들다, to make someone do cleaning, right? To let him do cleaning. But what if I told you don't have to use this form at all? You can use a separate verb to completely replace 청소하다. That means the same thing, to make someone do cleaning. That is 시키다. You replace 하다, any verb that can normally have the 하다 separate from it. So this doesn't mean that you can replace random Korean words that have 하다. For example, 심심하다. 심심하다 means to be bored. You can't replace the 하다 in 심심하다 to become 심심시키다 to make someone bored. That makes no sense because 심심하다 is not an action verb to begin with. It's a descriptive verb. And it means to be bored. So, and the other thing is 심심하다 cannot be separated. You can't say 심심을 하다 ever. So, also 좋아하다, to like something. 좋아하다 cannot be separated. You cannot say 좋아를 하다, it's just 좋아하다. So, pay attention if the verb can normally be separated, if the 하다 can normally be separated from the rest of the verb. If it can, any of those you can replace 하다 with 시키다 and get the exact same meaning as 게 만들다 or 게 하다. So 청소 시키다 has the same meaning as 청소 하게 하다. But 청소 시키다 is much shorter, right? It's also easier to conjugate because it's just one verb. You don't have to conjugate like 하게 하다 만들다, anything like that. All you do is you replace 하다 with 시키다, and now you have to make someone do the cleaning. However, it gets even better. And I think some people might say this makes it more complicated, but I think this makes it easier. Remember how I said you might use the object marker or the subject marker when making sentences using the ke hada or ke 만들다 form. That's because it could be vague if you use the object marker on a sentence that already needs an object marker for a verb. Like the cat eats the mouse, right? You need to object mark the mouse and not the cat, or else it can be vague, like who's eating who. But if the sentence is more vague, then or for most sentences, you just have to use the subject marker. With an actual causative verb, so not the ke hada, ke 만들다 form, but when you're actually using a causative verb, you don't use either of those. I think it's easier, but you do have to memorize a different rule. Instead, you use 에게, or, 한테, to. Basically, you're saying to. You're saying to a person. So here you would say person, 에게, or person, 한테, to a person. So this is how you say who it is that you make do something. Not using the object marker, not using the subject marker, just 에게. I think it's easier. I don't know what you guys think, but it's one thing you have to memorize. And causative verbs are so common that it's easier, I think, to use just 에게 with a causative verb if you know the causative verb than it would be to try to use it with the 하다, ke 만들다 form. So let's see here. We've got the other verb. Oh, yeah. So let me give you an example of this. So, using our previous form, let's say I made 철수 do the cleaning. So let's do 철수가 청소를 했어요. Okay, so first let's start with this. Let's check the time. What I started doing is writing down all the time that I'm supposed to complete everything next to here, and that's helped me stay on track a lot better. Okay, he always listens to me, sort of. Yeah, the stream's showing that that it's really good quality right now, but it's possible that YouTube is having issues and it's not. Let's see. Oh yeah, except for the one time when its power went out. That's right. I remember that. That was terrible. Okay, so 철수가, so 철수 is doing something because we have the subject marker. So what's he doing? Or what is he? Well, he's 청소, cleaning, 했어요. Oh, one note about 청소. I know this isn't related to the lesson. 청소 does not mean cleaning something. It doesn't mean cleaning your table. It means cleaning a room or your entire house. Like cleaning a building. You can think of it as meaning like deep cleaning something. So like organizing, vacuuming. The word for vacuum cleaner in Korean is actually 청소기. 청소, cleaning 기, machine. So cleaning machine, literally, is the word for vacuum cleaner. So if you say 청소, it doesn't mean like you're cleaning your computer. You don't clean your computer with 청소 unless you're vacuuming it. You don't clean your desk with 청소. You would say wipe your desk. You 청소 a room or your house. So if 철수 is doing 청소, he's cleaning his house, most likely. So I made 철수 clean. 청소를 했어요. Just 철수 did cleaning, but now let's say I made him clean. So using our other form, 청소를 하게 만들었어요. 만들었어요. So 철수가 청소를 하게 만들었어요. Here again, you wouldn't use 철수를, right? You wouldn't use I made 철수 do it, 철수를, because you have here 청소를. You could say 철수를 청소하게 만들었어요 without using the object marker in between here. Hopefully you're familiar with using and not using the object marker between a 하다 verb. But you could remove it here and just say 철수를 청소하게 했어요. That's okay. But it's kind of confusing, right? You have to think like, oh, is there already an object marker here? Would it be vague if I removed it? I don't know. I guess I'll just keep it like this. But there's an easier way. 철수에게 청소를, none of this. Okay, sorry. 청소를 시켰어요. I made cleaning. I forced, you can think of this as meaning like force someone to do something, make someone do something. I forced the cleaning onto 철수. I forced the cleaning onto 철수. What if we want to say 철수 did something else? So now 철수 is not cleaning, but 철수 is working. 일. So 일 is work. 일, 하다 means to work. I want to say I made 철수 do the work. 철수에게 일 시켰어요. I forced the work onto 철수. Does that make sense? So we have an easier, faster way to say the exact same thing as before, but with less confusion. You just say to whoever it is you're doing it. Let's check the chat for a moment. That computer must have an absolute infestation of shampoo at first. Ooh, kitty vacuums their computer. Yeah, I have a story about vacuuming my computer, but I'm not going to share it because it's kind of gross. We had some bugs in our house at the time. You don't got to shame my PC game. Okay. Is this only make do, or can it also be let someone do? Just like what is it? The 하다 form, it can mean both. But typically it will mean make, because 시키다 is more close to 만들다. So let's see. 시켰어요. 공부를 시켰어. This would mean closer to make, much closer to make than let. So this replaces to say you want to make someone do something. And so you might be thinking, okay, well that's one verb, but I'm still going to use the 게 만들다, 게 하다 form for everything else. Go ahead. That's fine. You can still use the regular forms. What the forms are that I first taught you are used. They're still commonly used in Korean. But the nice thing about causatives is they're faster. They can sound nicer, right? If you were to say the other form, I made 철수 work using 하게 만들었어요. What you're saying is literally, I made 철수 do the work. What if you want to say, I forced him to work. I made him work. A little bit quicker, a little bit more snappy, right? A little bit more natural to say, I made him work instead of I made him to do the work or I made him do the work. Both are grammatically okay, but just saying I made him work or I forced him to work or I had him do it even. I had him work, which also means I made him work, right? Using a causative verb can sound more natural than using I made him do the work. So now you have I had him work or I forced him to work. It sounds more natural, although both are correct. Causative verbs actually, unlike passive verbs, which passive verbs often sound unnatural unless they're necessary, causative verbs usually sound more natural than just using the que hada form. So causatives are something that not only are they not difficult to use once you've learned just to use them with a particle to, but causative verbs also sound more natural than using them with the regular form. So they're very useful. Before I go on though, so there's a bunch of causative verbs, but before I go on, I'll tell you one more meaning of 시키다, because you might have seen it, is to order delivery. To order something that's delivered. Typically food. So the most common way you would see this is with pizza. So if you want to order pizza, and as in you call in an order or you place an order on the TV, that'd be cool. Place an order on the computer, you would say 피자를 시키다, means to order pizza. So if you want to say, hey, let's get some pizza, let's order pizza, you can say 피자 시키자. 피자 시키자. Let's order pizza to your friends. Or 피자를 시킬까? Should we order pizza? Anything like that. 피자를 시켰어요. I ordered, as in delivery. Not just ordered something, but delivery, something that's going to be delivered to you. Pizza. Yeah. So that's also one way that this form is used. So you'll see it used like that too. But that's just because it shares that usage. But you can think of the verb though still meaning to force someone to do something or to cause someone to do something, literally. Let's check 245. Nice. Okay. Someone doing pancakes? Charsu deserves it. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just reading the chat a little bit. Okay, so one thing, before we go into a bunch of verbs, you might be thinking like, is there a separate causative verb for every single verb in Korean? And the answer is no. Okay, most. There's a causative verb for a lot of verbs in Korean, but the answer to that would be, I'd say no, because while there are tons of passive verbs, remember, there are also tons of causative verbs. You don't need to learn every causative verb of every regular verb because some of them are not commonly used. And by the time that you're able to speak using Korean anyway, if you hear a new verb and you're not sure what it is, you'll be able to guess that it's a causative verb form of a different verb just by hearing it. Because causative verbs will, except for 시키다, causative verbs will always look very similar to their original verb forms. That brings me to the very first one that I want to talk about. Okay, here is a regular verb, 죽다, to die. And here is a causative form, 죽이다. Notice how it looks very similar. You'll see this. I'll tell you how to recognize them later. If you see a verb that looks similar to a regular verb, but has a slightly different ending, it's either passive or causative, right? If it's being used with an object marker, it's causative. So if you see any verb that looks like a verb you know, but maybe let's say you don't know this. You probably know this verb, but let's say you didn't know this. If you see this, you're like, oh, what is it? Oh, it's probably 죽다, and it's being used with an object marker. It must be the causative form of 죽다 because passives don't use object markers. It has to be a causative. So it's quite easy to recognize these causative verbs because you'll see them used with an object marker. Now, 죽이다 actually, what does 죽이다 mean? I bet you guys never thought that this is a causative verb. And that's the fun thing about causatives is that you use them exactly like regular verbs. What does 죽이다 mean, guys? You guys might know it. Let's see who knows it. Yes, Amaryllis, to kill. So thinking about causatives, now I'm telling you that 죽이다 is actually the causative form of to die. So what does this literally mean then? Right? You might have learned this verb as to kill, but what does this literally mean? It's a causative. So what do you think that what could this also be translated as? Carrie Rich, does it mean cause to die? Yes, it does. It means 죽이다 means the exact same thing as 죽게 하다 or 죽게 만들다. To make or to let, to cause someone to die. However, the fun thing, the cool thing about causative verbs is, so you've learned that 죽이다 means to kill. So let me talk about this before I go in. This is the cool thing about it. So you might say 사람을 철수. Okay, sorry 철수. 철수를 죽였어요. Okay? 철수를 죽였어요. Remember how I said you use 에게? 에게. Well, you can. But the fun thing about causatives is that you don't have to translate them strangely. You can translate causative verbs differently, more easily than you would normally use them. So this can just translate as to die. This is okay to just translate it as to kill. You don't have to learn it as to make someone die. Because saying that I made 철수 die sounds really awkward, doesn't it? It does in Korean too. If you were to say 철수를 죽게 했어요, it would sound really awkward in Korean. Like, I made 철수 die. You mean you killed him? Yeah, right? It's awkward. And it's awkward in Korean because it sounds awkward in English. So there are times when it sounds totally fine. If you're making somebody do something like, I made 철수 do the cleaning. Doesn't sound too awkward. Of course, I forced him to clean or I had him clean is more natural, but it's okay to say I made him do cleaning. But I made him die sounds strange. There's another word you can use just to kill. Causative verbs sound more natural than to make someone do something. And that's the point I wanted to say. Causatives sound more natural than just using the 게 하다, 게 만들다 form. So if you know a causative verb and you want to say that you made someone do that or let someone do that, always use the causative because it will sound much more natural. Now, if you didn't know 죽이다, but you knew this form, the other form, you could use it and it would make sense, but it would sound awkward. So in this case, the causative sounds much more natural. The causative would be like saying to kill. And the cool thing is you don't have to memorize that this actually is a causative. Okay? This is the fun thing about causatives, or the cool thing. You don't have to actually even learn the concept of causatives to learn causative verbs. In fact, if you just memorize this as to kill, you will use it correctly. You don't have to memorize, oh, it's a causative, so I should use it with 에게. No. You can use it just like its regular translation because it's so natural. You would just say 철수를 죽였어요 because like in English you would say to kill someone, the object, kill a person, to kill, I don't know, a mouse, anything. You would use it just like you do in English. You don't have to memorize any strange rules for how to use causatives when you're using a causative verb. That's the cool thing. You don't need any special rules when using a causative verb, as long as you have a decent translation of it, like here to kill is good. You don't have to learn some special crazy rule. If you didn't use a verb that has a nice translation like this, then you can use 에게, and we'll talk about that next. But you can translate them very simply. These have more natural translations, and you can use them just like the translation seems that you could use them. You don't have to learn that it actually means, this is a causative verb that means to make someone die. No. You can know that for fun, but just use it as to kill. You don't have to use it separately. And in fact, if you look, you'll probably find there are lots of causative verbs in Korean that you knew but didn't know that they're actually causative. So let's see, how are we on time? 2:52. Okay. Oh, dang, I gotta go quickly. Okay, the next one is, actually, let's skip that one. Let's go to the next one. There's a few more on this paper, but I want to make sure we have time to do the most common ones. Okay, 먹다. 먹다 is to eat. And the causative form of 먹다 is 먹이다. Now, 먹이다 literally means to cause somebody to eat, right? 먹게 하다, to cause someone to eat. But it's a causative verb. Remember, and I said causative verbs have more natural translations. They sound much more natural. This just means to feed. As in, not as in I feed on food, but you feed someone else. You feed something. You feed someone. So you can say both of these sentences. 철수에게 치즈를. Actually, let's do this other sentence. I'll do this second. Okay, you can say this. 아기를 먹였어요. I'm going to give you an example of how easy it is to use these. So, 아기를 먹였어요. I fed. What did I feed? Directly with the object marker. You don't have to use any strange, you don't have to use 에게. You're just feeding the baby. 아기를 먹였어요. Just like you would in English. I fed the baby. However, you might think, well, what if, does that mean that 먹이다 is that's the food, you have to mark the food you're giving with the object marker, or you have to mark who you're giving it to with the object marker? You can do either, just like in English. You can say, I fed the baby, or you can say, okay, first of all, I fed the baby. This just means you gave the baby food, right? You fed the baby. However, you can also do a sentence exactly like you can in English. What if you wanted to say, I fed the baby and the baby was the food, right? Now you're not giving food to the baby. Now you're actually giving the baby as food. Well, in English, all you would do is add, I fed the baby to 철수 at the end. So 철수, the baby eater, okay? So I fed the baby to 철수. Well, in English, all you had to do was attach to 철수, and now it means the baby you're giving as food to 철수. In Korean, you can do the exact same thing. 철수에게 아기를 먹였어요. Okay, this is not a natural sentence. You're not really feeding babies to 철수. He's not that bad of a guy, okay? Okay? But this is a good example of a verb that can show you how it can be used just like in English. So, although this is a causative verb, which means to feed, or literally to make somebody eat, you don't have to think about it as, well, I made the baby eat, or I made 철수, I made the baby eat to 철수. You don't have to think about it complicated. Just think about it as fed, feeding. You can feed a baby, as in you give the baby food, or you can feed bait to a fish, right? And you would just use the exact same markers as usual. You don't have to rearrange the sentence or change what markers you're using. Let's see. Cannibalism. I'm sorry, but this was a good example of the grammar. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give this example of the grammar because I think it really shows the grammar. No one would ever think that 아기를 먹이다 means to feed a baby as food. But as far as grammar goes, just like in English, it would if you added just to someone. If all you do is stick to a person at the end of a sentence for feed, now it means that that's what you're giving them as food. So it's the exact same in Korean. So you don't have to memorize strange rules for using causative verbs because they work just like they do in English. They can have multiple meanings depending on whether what you're marking with the object marker, just as they could in English if you're using the baby as the object or the baby as who you're feeding. Okay, let's see this. 3, okay. Good. Okay, let's do a normal verb. 앉다 means to sit down. Well, 앉히다 is, so let's do to sit. literally to make someone sit down, right? This is the causative form of to sit. So to make someone sit or to let someone sit. Well, in English we say to seat. To seat someone. To seat someone, to make someone sit down. This doesn't mean like, please be seated. You wouldn't use that. You would just use sit down. Please sit down. But to make someone sit down, to let someone sit down, you'd say, I seated him in front of the table, right? You would say like, I seated my friend at the front of the table. So you could say something like, 친구를. So I'm doing something to my friend. So I have my friend and then object marker. So he or she will be the object of some sort of action now. 식탁 means food table. 앞에 is in front of it's somewhere in front of. So in front of the food table. 식탁 specifically is like a dining table. 식 is 한자, is Chinese, which means food. And 탁 is a table, like a board, plank. So 식탁 앞에, in front of the table. And then 앉혔어요. So I made sit down my friend in front of the table. So you could have written this as 친구가 식탁 앞에 앉게 했어요, right? You could have written it like that, or 앉게 만들었어요. I made my friend so that he would sit in front of the table. But that's not necessary, and that would be much longer and more complicated and less natural to say, oh, well, I made my friend sit at the front of the table. You could say that if you really want to emphasize that you like forced them to do it, but you don't need to do it. You can just say, I sat him at the front of the table. I seated him at the front of the table. 식탁 앞에 앉혔어요. 앉히다, to seat. So you can use it as to seat anyone you want, and it has the same meaning, but it sounds more natural than saying, I made it so that he sits at the front of the table, which you might want to say that at times, but most of the time you just want to say you sat him down there. Like here, yeah, I seated him. Can I seat you? Would you like me to seat you? Where would you like me to seat you? Not, where would you like me to make you sit? Would sound awkward, especially if you were to offer, where should I seat you? You wouldn't say, where should I make you sit? That sounds like awkward and unnecessary. It makes sense, but it's too long. So a lot of times these causative verbs are more natural than the other forms, which, although they mean the same thing, are less natural. Okay, I'm glad that this board is okay, because now I can see it's totally racing fine again, so it's good. I mean, if you were on a train to Busan, I never thought about that. I actually don't know where this subway ended up at. I just fell asleep, and when I woke up, the doors were locked, and we'd already reached the last stop. Okay. Learning Chinese and English grammar. Well, we might learn Chinese later if you guys want that. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is, let's see. Oh yeah, let's do that one. Okay. There's a lot of these, and I'll try to go over as many as possible. 울다, to cry. So, to make someone cry. 울리다. Notice that a lot of these tend to have the vowel E somewhere, like whether it's li or e or he or something like that, right? We'll talk about that a little bit later. However, passive verbs also have many of those too. But anyway, 울다, to cry, and 울리다, to make cry. Now, this one doesn't have a better translation in English. There isn't some nice fancy translation like we had to die became to kill, or to sit became to seat someone, like that. This one just would be to make cry, because we don't have any other fancy word for that. But 울리다 is to make someone cry. So this one is also causative. So you could say like 동생을, so my younger sibling, you don't have to use any special particles, just I made him cry. Well, who did you make cry? Marking with the object marker. 울렸어요. I made 제 동생, my younger sibling, 울렸어요. I made, you can add 저는 at the beginning if you want, but not necessary. 제 동생을 울렸어요. I made him cry. Or you could say 울게 했어요. I caused him to cry, or I made it so that he cried, which is okay too, but 울렸어요 is much more natural. Just I made him cry. So we have 울다, to cry. There's also 웃다, to laugh or smile. To smile, to laugh. 웃다, to laugh or to cry. Or, I'm sorry, not cry. To laugh or to smile. And 웃기다, 웃기다, to make someone laugh or to make someone smile. 웃기다. Now, this one is a little bit interesting. This one actually has a couple of uses that you might have seen before. Let's see. Yeah, so this one's just to make someone laugh, but this can also be used to mean to be laughably funny. So this is the verb that you use when you, this 웃기다 is actually a causative verb, but this is the same verb that you use when you want to say that a joke, something that makes you laugh, not just something that's, oh, like you're a funny person, you're a funny guy. That doesn't mean this would not mean you're a funny guy. This would mean you're a laughably funny guy, or if you told someone that they're 웃기다, or that they're like a comedian. So it might not be a compliment. If you want to say that someone's funny to be around, they usually just use 재미있다, entertaining, to be entertaining. So if you want to say a person is fun, 재미있다. Don't use 웃기다, because that means they're laughable. Like, maybe they're a comedian, it's okay. If they're not a comedian though, you don't want to use this. But this means a joke. Say someone said something, you're like, ah, 웃겨, 진짜 웃겨. Or just 웃기다, 웃겨, 하하하하, 웃겨. That's funny, that's so funny. That's how Korean people will say that something's hilarious and laughably funny, with 웃기다. Literally, what they're saying is, that really makes me laugh. Literally. But, like I said, you can learn this verb as to make laugh, or these ones have more natural translations as just to be hilarious. Oops. Oh, that really messed up. Hilarious. So yeah, to be hilarious. So you can use this verb just like you would use to be hilarious. Like a descriptive verb, even though it's not a descriptive verb. But these causative verbs are so natural that you can use different translations for them in English and be okay. You would get away with, you can use to be hilarious just like a descriptive verb in Korean. Because it is. In fact, it even gets conjugated like a descriptive verb because the literal meaning is to make laugh. But a better translation for it, one that's more natural, is just to be hilarious. So people will even conjugate it. If you want to use it in a sentence as an adjective, like someone told a hilarious joke. 웃긴 농담. Although it technically is still an action verb, it's used kind of like a descriptive verb. 웃긴. Something, a joke, that made me laugh. 웃긴, past tense, right? I did a video about this, and there's also an abridged version of the live stream going up this week. 웃긴 농담. 진짜 웃긴 농담. So really funny joke, or a joke that really made me laugh. That was really hilarious. So you can use it like that. Also, people might just say 웃기다. Ah, 웃기다. This would be incorrect conjugation for an action verb normally. You couldn't just say 웃기다. You'd have to say 웃긴다. 웃긴다. Ah, 웃긴다. And people do this. People do sometimes say that too. But they also even incorrectly use it as 웃기다 because it's so used just to mean to be hilarious. It sounds such like more natural translation of it. Oh, Christy S. Christy S, thank you. 제가 진짜 웃긴 사람. Oh, Amerilis said that. Christy S, thank you. Christy. I can actually erase this and go on to the next one. For today's lesson, I'm going to give you like 90% of all of the most common ones. Christy, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. I'm trying to also, well, let me give you a dab first. I'm always trying to look for ways to improve my stream, and a lot of them end up costing money. So I'm really glad for all of you guys' donations because I've been able to do them. So every time people give suggestions, if it's something that I can do, I usually just go out and buy it. Like, you know, new lights, new backdrops, camera, different microphones, stands, and everything like that. So it's all thanks to you guys, really. So there's a lot more, though, we can do. Let's see. Oh, yeah. A really common one is 낮다, 낮추다. So 낮다 means something is low, as in a level is low. 낮다 is low, and 높다 is the opposite. To be high and low. So, like, a level is high, high level, or maybe like a building is really high building, or a really low score, like that. If you want to say to make something high, 높이다, 높이다. And if you want to say to lower something, to make something low, 낮추다. So, although this means low, to be high, natural translation for this is to lower, and to raise, right? To literally to make high, to make low. But they use it as just to lower and to raise. And let me give you an example of that. Let's see, let's do that example. Oh, okay, 의자, let's do a chair. 의자 means chair. So 의자, 높이. 높이 is a noun that means the height. The chair's height. 의자 높이를 낮추고 싶어요. I want to lower the height of the chair. So I want to lower the chair, right? Maybe you're sitting in an office chair and it's really high. So you say, 의자 높이, the height of the chair. 낮추고 싶어요. I want to lower the height of the chair. It's too high. Or maybe you want to 높이고 싶어요. Maybe you want to raise the height of the chair. Whether you want to do that. And another example could be, 말 높이다. Okay. When you're talking with someone and you're speaking politely or impolitely, they say that your words are either high, formal and polite, or low, informal, casual, like 반말. So you can say you want to 말을 낮추다, meaning to lower your speech, or 말 높이다, to raise your speech. That's how Koreans talk to me. That means to speak more politely. So if you're talking with your Korean friend and you get to know each other and you're pretty close, but you're still talking in yo form, and you're getting really close with them and they're your same age, so you want to say, hey, let's lower our speech. 말을 낮춰도 될까요? Or something. You can ask it however you'd like. You can use this verb to ask it however you like. Oh, I think maybe we should lower. What do you think if we should lower our speech or whatever? Or we finally lowered our speech. That's how they say we finally can speak 반말 together. We can finally speak casually. Or maybe you're talking with your friend and your friend is, maybe you meet someone and it's a doctor. So before you go to meet the doctor, you're like, oh, I should raise my speech. 말을 높이다. Because I'm going to be speaking to a doctor. Oh, I should remember to raise my speech when I meet him, right? You can say that too. And that's how they use these verbs. But also it can just mean to lower, like physically lower something. Maybe you want to lower your rent payment. Maybe you want to lower your debt. Maybe you want to lower your score on your I don't think you'd want to lower. You probably want to raise your score. But you can use them just like that too. Check the chat for a second. Okay. Someone talking about pancakes? I'm getting kind of hungry now. See, it's 3:11. So let's do 타다 and 태우다. Okay. 타다 is to ride, as in to ride a vehicle. Or it could be like to ride any sort of transportation. It could be to ride a horse. That's fine too. 타다. Now, 태우다. 태우다 is to literally to make someone ride or to let someone ride. But to give someone a ride. To give someone a ride. Or to ride someone. I don't know what would be a good to transport someone, to, like that kind of meaning, to give someone a ride somewhere. But you can also think of it as to let someone get a ride. So you might ride a subway or ride a horse, and 태우다 would be, you would give someone a ride in your car. So you could ask someone, 태워 주세요. 태워주세요. You could tell your taxi driver. 서울역까지. So up until Seoul Station. 서울역. 역 means a train station, subway station. 서울역까지 until up to Seoul Station. 태워주세요. Please give me a ride to Seoul Station. 서울역까지 태워주세요. You can say something like that. Or ask your friend. Your friend has a car. 좀 태워주세요. Please give me a ride. I don't want to pay for the bus, or the bus is too far, or something like, I'll be late. 태워주세요. So to give someone a ride. Let me teach you guys a fun, this is a fun compliment. Kind of not a, if someone's complimenting you in Korean, I just wrote that backwards. If someone's complimenting you in Korean and you think they're giving you way too many compliments, which is pretty common to happen in Korean. If you're able to speak Korean a little bit, like you're intermediate or more, Korean person might tell you like, wow, your Korean sounds so good, like fluent, you're so good at Korean. Oh, wow, your Korean's amazing. Oh, I just can't believe it. How did you learn it? Wow, you're so smart. They might keep complimenting you, right? It's not too uncommon that might happen, especially if it's a Korean who's not used to hearing non-Koreans speak their language. So you could tell them 비행기, which means airplane. 비행기 means airplane. 비행기 태우지 마세요. Literally, do not give me a ride. Do not give me an airplane ride. Literally means do not give me a ride in your airplane. Like, don't offer me a ride in your airplane. And it's an expression that people use saying like, hey, chill out. Like, stop complimenting me so much. Like, you're doing this, you're saying this, and all these things. I'm worried you're gonna like offer to give me a free ride in an airplane because you love me so much. It's kind of like a funny way to say stop complimenting me. Although if you tell them this, 비행기 태우지 마세요, it sounds a little bit cringy and funny, but they'll laugh. And it actually shows that your Korean is still really good. So they might keep complimenting you, but they'll stop for a while. They might say like, wow, where did you learn that phrase? I can't believe your Korean's so good. But you can use this if you want. Literally, don't give me an airplane ride. 비행기 태우지 마세요. Please don't give me an airplane ride. You're already saying too much. Like, don't go any further. That's kind of what it means. It's just a common fun expression you can say to tell someone to stop complimenting you. But that's what it comes from, is 태우다. Another one would be 불 타다. 불 타다. 불 means fire. 타다 is just, there's another verb called 타다, which is not to ride, but there's another verb 타다, which means to burn. So 타다, 불 타다 means the fire. Some fire is burning, like, oh, it burned. 불 탔어. It burned in fire. It burned in fire. Well, you can also say 불 태우다, which means to cause something to burn, as in to burn something. So now you're not saying my toast burned, but now you're saying I burned it. I put it in the toaster for 5 hours, and 불 태웠어요. I totally burned it with a blowtorch, or whatever you want to say. So that's the same thing. It's the same. 불 타다 can also become 불 태우다, or 불로, burn with fire. 불 태우다, to burn something. And these are also causatives. So if you see 태우다, it's actually the causative of 타다. I think we're doing pretty good on time today. Let's see, 3:16. Oh, no, we're not. Never mind. We're right on time. Okay, the next one is 알다. A very common one is 알리다. 알다 means to know. So 알리다 is a causative, so it obviously means to let someone know, right? Well, you can say to let someone know in English too. That sounds fine. Or to inform. To inform, or to tell someone. To tell someone something. Something, right? If you're going to tell something to someone, well, you're letting them know. Which means you're informing them of something. So 알리다 is how you say you want to tell someone about it. But I should make a note that 알리다, although you can use 알리다, most of the time 알리다 is actually used together with 주다 to mean to do it as a favor. 알려. Maybe you might already know this verb. 알려주다. In fact, you might have learned this verb separately. 알려주다. Well, 알려주다 is from 알리다. which is to inform someone. And also, this has the same meaning. 알려주다 also means to let someone know or to inform, but it's much more common to say 알려주다 instead of just 알리다. So I would memorize this one. To inform someone or to let someone know. Like, hey, let me know his contact information. Or if you find out that movie's title, let me know. Or please let me know as soon as you find out. Or let me know the next time you're going to do a stream. Tell me the next time you're going to do a stream. All of those are 알려주다. So super common verb originally comes from causative form of 알다. Cool, huh? And again, use 알려주다, don't use 알리다 by itself. Though it is used, it's just much less common by itself. It's mostly 알려주다. Oh, I got another donation. Awesome. Whoa, 10 euros. The acquis. My Korean keeps improving thanks to you. Keep up the good work. Oh, that's a really big donation. Awesome, thank you. 알려지다. Yes, Amaryllis. Actually, 알려지다 is a combination of 알리다 and 지다 passive ending, which I did last week. It's actually called a causative passive. I just made that term up. But yeah, 알려지다, to become known. As in, to become such that it was caused that you know, literally, which is kind of complicated, but you can just learn it as to become known or to be known. So we write the acquis up here. That was a really big donation. Oops, I wrote the oquis. Awesome, thank you. I'm going to do a big dab for that. Now I like this blue marker. It works really well. Okay. One more thing. I want to go back to 하다 and 시키다. So I said 시키다 was that's the very first causative verb that we learned. Well, let's take another look at this. So we've been talking about how you can use the causative verb to be a more natural form of the regular one. Well, 시키다 is the causative form of 하다. So if you don't want to think of it as to make someone do something, think of it again as meaning, to force someone, to force something onto someone. So if you're using 시키다, you will most of the time need to use 에게. Because what you're forcing is not a person, but what you're forcing is the verb that comes before 시키다. And the reason for that is because 하다 is always used, almost always, used with something else, like 공부하다, 청소하다, 요리하다, to cook, anything like that. So you're actually forcing the verb, remember? It might be confusing. You might think, oh, I'm forcing a person. Well, you're using a verb with that. 시키다 is not, you're not just forcing them to do it, 하다, you're forcing them to do a verb. So you have to use 에게 with that, what you're forcing onto someone. So 시키다 would be good to memorize as to force verb and not just to force or to make someone do something, because that way you'll make sure you conjugate it correctly. Because this one, you're actually forcing the verb and not forcing a person as an object, you use 에게, or you're saying to a person. So if you were to say, we already did this example, but if you're doing anything to 철수, it's not 철수를, not 철수 is the one you're forcing, but you're actually 시키다, you're forcing the work, you're forcing that verb, whatever that verb is, onto 철수. So it can be 철수에게 공부 시켰어요 would mean you're forcing studying onto 철수. You're forcing 철수 to do the studying. So that's just one thing I wanted to reiterate, is that this actually is forcing the verb. Just like the other ones, what you're doing is, if you're forcing a verb, if you're causing a verb, then you would want to use 에게, because the verb would have the object marker on it. Just like before when I said, feeding the baby. If you directly feed the baby, you're not making the baby eat. You're not making the baby do something else, you're just making the baby eat. So you can use the object marker, but when you're using 시키다, it's only on the verb that you do it. So you have to use 에게 with that. Just one more point I wanted to say. Let's see, 시키다. Yeah, we could do that. Oh yeah, let's do more. So, 자다, there's actually a lot of these, but the thing is, the ones I'm doing today are probably 90% of all of the most commonly used ones. So if you learn all of these in today's lesson, you'll be pretty good for causatives. There's still more, but these are a good amount, I'd say. The stream keeps skipping. Yeah, I don't know. The YouTube's telling me though it's totally fine. I mean, YouTube's not giving me any like errors, like saying it has hiccups or anything. So I wonder how it's going to look once the stream's done. When it's uploaded, I wonder if it's going to have any issues. 3:23. Okay. Okay, so tada means to sleep. 재우다 obviously then would mean to make sleep, but you wouldn't need to translate as to make sleep. It'd be better to say to put to sleep. To put to sleep. So what would you or who would you put to sleep? A baby? 아기를 재우다. So 아기를 재웠어요. 아기를 재웠어요? Did you put the baby to sleep? Literally, did you make the baby sleep? Did you let the baby sleep? Or did you cause the baby to sleep? Yes, I put the baby to sleep. 네, 아기를 재웠어요. You might not speak like so formally to your wife or husband, but you could say it. 아기를 재웠어요? Did you put the baby to sleep? 네, 아기가 자고 있어요. Yes, the baby is sleeping. I put the baby to sleep and baby is sleeping now. So that's how you can use it. Causatives. But I'm going to still give you guys some more causative verbs anyway, because I think they're fun. And I want you to have experience with a lot of the most common ones. 오르다. 오르다 means to climb or to go up. To go up. And 올리다 also means to put up. As in to raise. So this is a little different than 높이다, which just means to make something high. 올리다 specifically is to make something climb up. And it's used with some slightly different things. 올리다 is what they say for uploading. This just so happens to be the verb that they use for uploading anything on the internet. So if you say, oh, I'm going to upload a new video this Tuesday and Friday on my YouTube channel, they would use 올리다, literally to put up. I'm going to put up a new video. So I'm going to raise, literally, raise or to make, climb. But yeah, 올리다 is another verb used for that. And it comes from 오르다, which is just a regular verb, means something goes up. So you could say the video went up last week. Yeah, it already went up last week with 오르다, but I'm going to put up another video this week, like that. So 올리다 for to upload. Download, they use a different verb. They use 다운, down, like download. 다운을, optionally, object marker, 받다, to receive, to get a download. So I got a download of something. 다운 받았어. I got the download is how they use, or down for download by itself. So 올리다 for upload, down for download. And there's some other terms that they would use as well. Sorry, I hope I'm not going too fast. I do want to do all of these verbs though. And we only have a few more though. I already did 웃기다. Oh yeah, 입다. Okay, 입다 is to wear, as in wear a shirt or pants only. You don't use 입다 for wearing shoes or wearing a hat or glasses or a mask or a backpack or a belt or gloves or earrings or anything else. Just shirt and pants. The other things all have their own different verbs. And maybe someday I could do a live stream about all of those different verbs if you guys want. But 입다, just to wear something. Well, what if you want to, what would be a situation where you would want to make someone wear clothes? Tell you it's 입히다. 입히다 means to dress, as in to dress someone. Someone. So you would dress, well, who would you dress? Can you think of an example of someone that you would have to dress? Someone that you would have to make wear their clothes? Can you think of any examples? We are doing a lot to babies today. No, well, Charsu was the baby eater here. Then all we did was feed the baby after that. Just, feed the baby food and then put the baby to sleep. Now, what you would also do is you would dress a doll. Or you can also dress a baby. So, 아기, and a baby, 아가, 아기. You'd also dress a baby, 아기. Or you could dress a doll, 인형. 인형 means a doll. Literally person, figure, so a doll. You can dress a doll. 인형을 입히다, to dress a doll, to put clothes on a doll. 입히다. So literally to make the doll wear clothes, but the doll's not really the one wearing the clothes. I mean, the doll doesn't move, right? You're causing, right? You're causing the doll to wear clothes, even though the doll doesn't move. The doll's not the one, you're not forcing the doll to do anything. The doll's not going to move. You are the one that's causing the doll to wear the clothes. So you're dressing the doll. You're putting clothes on the doll. To put clothes on. And remember again, this is specifically shirt, pants, like general clothes that you wear over your whole body. That's what 입다 is for. Not for a hat, which would be 쓰다 for a hat, 신다 for shoes. And these also have their own causative verbs. 신기다 for to make someone put on their shoes. 벗다 is to take off clothes. 벗다. So you can take off your own clothes, but if you're taking off a doll's clothes, you'd use 벗기다. Sorry, I know I don't have room here. 벗기다. So 벗겼어. 인형 옷을 clothes. 벗겼어요. I took off the doll's clothes. Or 인형 옷을 입혔어요. I put on the doll's clothes. And there's, like I said, there's causative verbs for wearing, for all the different wears. There's causative verbs for any verb you can think of, but you don't necessarily have to use them. If you ever don't know, you can also say 쓰게 했어요. 쓰게 했어요. It would make sense, although they do have a different word. They 쉬우다. So they have different causative verbs for every regular verb. Okay, let's see what else. Oh yeah, 살다 and 살리다. Okay. 살다 is to live. Like you say, 저는 한국에 살아요. 한국에서 살아요. I live in Korea. The causative verb of that is 살리다. Now, why do you think you might use 살리다? 살리다 literally would mean to let someone live. To let someone live. Why would you say to let someone live? I guess if you're like an evil villain and you're like, ha ha, I don't want to let you live anymore. You could use it like that, but it's usually just used as to mean to save. To save someone. Literally to make them live. To let them live. Someone's in trouble and you're going to let them live. You're not going to kill them otherwise, but at least you're going to let them live. 살리다. So in Korean dramas, if you want to say, help me, you can say, 도와주세요. 도와주세요. That just means help. What if you want to say, save me? They always say, 살려. 살려주세요. Literally means, please let me live. 살려주세요. Which we would say, save. And in English too, save does mean also let someone live. To save, pass by, to save someone, to not delete them, basically. To not kill them. Save me. 살려주세요. So 도와주세요, help, 살려주세요, save me. Like that. 살리다, to save. These are fun. I like causative verbs. I think they're just so easy to use. Like, you learn the verb 살리다 means to save. You don't have to now learn some crazy grammar with it. You just know, oh, it means to save. I can use it anytime I want to save a person. Save anything. Of course, this is not for saving a file. If you're going to save a file, as in, okay, this is where it's important to know what their original meanings are, or it can help. This is where it can help to know what the original meanings are. 살리다 means to save, as in to let someone live. It doesn't mean to save a document. To save a document, because remember, it comes from 살다, which is to live. Documents and files on your computer are not living. You're not letting them live. You're simply 저장. This is how they say to save a file. 저장하다. 저장. I didn't save it. 저장 못했어요. Or 저장했어요. I saved it, like that. So just one thing I wanted to know. It's not always exactly with English, because there are situations where, like with 살리다, it means to save. It doesn't mean save a file. It really means to let someone live. But used just like the word save in English, as long as you're not using it for like documents or something like that. because it means for people, to let someone live. 살리다. Another one. Oh, a really common one. 없다 means to not exist. Well, you can also say to make something not exist. 없애다. 없애다, which means to get rid of. Or literally, to make something not exist. So if you want to say, oh, I want to get rid of, say, my debt. In Korean, the word for debt is 빚. 빚. 없애다. To get rid of debt. So 없애고 싶어요. I want to get rid of debt. And there's a few other ways you can say I want to pay off my debt or whatever. But 없애다 just means to get rid of something. Literally to make it 없게 하다. To make it so that it doesn't exist anymore. To get rid of it. To remove it. Right? To completely get rid of something. And this is also another causative verb. But you don't have to memorize that it's a causative verb so much. Just that, oh, it's 없다. So it comes from 없다. So it looks different. So it's probably causative or passive, but I see it's used with the object marker. So, oh, it must be a causative verb. It must be to cause 없다, to cause something to not exist. So causative verbs are kind of cool that you can guess what they might be, even if you never learned the verb 없애다. If you see how it's used, and if you knew this word was debt, then you could maybe guess what this means just by seeing it used with an object marker and seeing that it looks like 없다. To not exist. Like, oh, object marker and looks like something with the original. It's a causative or a passive verb. In this case, it's used with an object, so it has to be a causative, which means you're causing this, 없다. So it must mean to make something not exist. So I want to make my debt not exist. Yes, and you'd be 100% correct. So you can guess these much easier than you can guess passive verbs because you know how it's used. And you can see what it kind of looks like. And they look like, with a few exceptions, like 시키다, they usually look just like their original forms. I think we have a few more, just a couple more. We're almost done with most of these. 35, 입다, 입히다, 살다, 없애다. Oh no! Okay. Oh yeah, okay, let's do one more. This I originally took it off the list. I'll add it back on the document. 남다. 남다? Okay, 남다 means to be left over. And this is definitely an high intermediate vocabulary. 남다, to be remaining. And then 남기다 is a causative, which means to make something remaining or to be left over. So to be remaining or to be left over. 남기다 means to make something left over or to leave, as in to leave as a remaining, something remaining, to leave it as to remain. Why can't I write? So something remains because I made it remain. This is what they use in online forums as in to leave a comment. Literally, you are causing a comment, which they say 댓글 or 댓글. 댓글. You'll see either one. 댓글, 댓글. Comment, which means a comment. You're leaving a comment on a page. Literally, you're letting a comment be remaining. To let a comment be left over. 남기다, which is another causative verb. 남다 would just be something is remaining. So you might say, oh, there are many comments remaining here on the page. There's so many comments on the page because many people left comments. So you can just learn this verb as to leave something over, to leave or leave over. And you don't have to memorize this necessarily as a causative verb unless you want to. You can just learn that it means to leave over. And looking at it, 남다, it comes from the original verb. So you might be able to guess that this is causative if you see it used with an object marker. This was not planned for today's lesson. Another one I thought of adding. That's also really common. I'm trying to give you every single one of the really commonly used. Oh, actually, that's right. I also did 오르다 and 올리다, and that wasn't on here either. I'm trying to give you all of the really common ones so you can have like over 90% of the most commonly used ones for this lesson. Okay. that is all of the new causative verbs I want to teach you today. I still have a few more notes that I want to do, but let me just check the chat for a moment. Ibrahim, I got to go see you, everyone. It's 11. All right, take care, Ibrahim. Ayaz Woods, RN. 빛 없애고 싶어요. Nice. Okay, I'm going to give you guys some more notes for this. And then for 10 minutes, I'll let you guys ask some questions about it. So first thing is, last time we talked about how to say like passive verbs, like the word for passive verb in Korean. Well, the word for causative verb in Korean is 사동사. Remember I taught last week 동사 just means a verb. I think it's time for this pen to go too. 사동사 just means a verb. Sorry, 동사 by itself means a verb. 사동사 means causative verb. So if you, just like 피동사 for passive, if you were to say 사동사 to a Korean, they probably will have no clue what you're talking about unless they're someone who studied teaching Korean to non-Koreans. So this is not a word that Koreans would usually be very familiar with, but it's just the regular word for saying causative verbs. So all of the verbs we've learned today, you can call them 사동사. 사동사. Another thing is, there is a trick for recognizing causative verbs, which I kind of gave you a little bit. This though is not, it's not always accurate, but well, I think this marker, I'm going to replace this marker. That's 3 markers today. Oh my gosh. 3 markers I'm throwing out today. 3. One blue, which was dying at the beginning. Another blue, which was the new one in the box, which was dead on arrival. And then this new black one. So hold on, let me just get a new black one. That one's just, because the black marker I just wrote looks really bad. So I want to get a newer one. Hold on, let me just fix that. A little bit more. Okay. Yeah, because that black marker just looks really bad. Okay. New black marker. Oh, that's the new blue one. Okay. You guys should see my my setup that I have here. Everything's like within 1 inch of where I'm standing. Okay. Nice. 이, 히, 니, 기, 에, 우, 구, 추. These are the most common ones. These are the most commonly used additions to the verbs to cause them to be, well, to make them causatives. So you would see something like 먹이다 for to feed. You would say 앉히다 for to sit down. 알리다 for to inform someone. 웃기다 to make someone laugh. 없애다 to get rid of. 재우다 or 태우다, giving someone a ride or putting someone to sleep. This one's rarely used, but you might see it sometimes. 추, as in we learn for 낮추다, to lower something. These are the common 8 ways that verbs can become causative. And there are some, I wouldn't want to say rules, but there are some guidelines for which verbs will take which of these to become a causative. Typically things like verbs that end with this syllable will attach this one usually. Verbs that end in might attach when they become causative. Like there's some guidelines for that, but you don't have to learn those. Just learn that if you see these, that it might mean it's a causative, or these 4 can also be passives, as we learned last week. So you can't just say, oh, I noticed one of these 8, it must be a causative verb. No. If you notice one of these 4, it probably is a causative verb. But if you notice one of these, then you have to pay attention. Is it being used with an object marker, like or le, or is it not? If it's being used with the object marker directly, it's a causative, 100%, because passives cannot use the object marker. But if it's being used with something else, then it might be a passive, especially these 4. So just something to kind of pay attention to, but you don't have to like memorize it. This is just for like in your studies, if you come across a causative verb or a verb written down and you're not really sure what it means, but it looks similar to a verb you already seen, then try to see, does it have 이히, 리기, 우구, 추, 에 in it? If so, then you can think, oh, maybe it's causative. check how it's being used. Oh yeah, I see it's a causative, or oh no, that looks like a passive. So you can guess these by yourself without having to go to the dictionary for every single thing. Then you can confirm it later in the dictionary when you study the word. So that's just a pro tip for recognizing causative verbs. Another thing is, I said you use ege for people, which means, to a person, or, ante, whatever. If it's not a person, if it's an inanimate object, so not even an animal, but just like an object, you would use e, which also means to, as in to an object. So you might see e, like if you made a box do something. I don't know. I wouldn't really use it often. It's not commonly used because usually if you're causing someone to do something, it's going to be a human. It's going to be a person or at least an animal, right? If you made the cat eat charsu, then it's still an animal. It's still animate. But if you're doing something with an inanimate object, then you would want to use a for that. Let's see. Another tip would be, oh yeah, this is another thing. Okay, 보다, to see. 보다 also has a causative verb. What do you think? Okay, this is what I want you guys to guess. What do you think the meaning of a causative would be for 보다? To make someone see, right? How do you think you could translate to make someone see? What do you think would be a better way to translate to make someone see? So I'm wondering if you can guess what this causative might be. I was using an app called 동사. Yeah, that means verb. Yeah. Let's see if anyone knows. Bonus points to the first person. Anyone? Okay, I'm just going to tell you. I don't know if anyone knows. Maybe no one here knows. Okay. So, 보다, to see, you can also use it as to show, right? Literally, to make someone see. To show, which actually is 보이다. Now, 보이다, we learned this verb last week. 보이다 is also the passive of to see, as in to be seen, to be visible, right? We learned about that last week. We talked about it for like 20 minutes. How to say something is visible. Well, there's a different verb, also 보이다, which just so happens to look the same, but it's actually a different verb. This is not the exact same verb, even though it's also passive as 보이다. Passive 보이다 is not used with an object marker because it's a passive verb. You can't. 보이다 causative can be used with an object marker. So you might be thinking, well, that's confusing, Billy. How do I know if I'm showing something or if something's visible if they don't use an object marker, right? Sometimes they might not use an object marker. Easy, because people don't actually say 보이다. Instead, just like, remember when we learned 알다 and 알리다 for to know, I said people don't really use 알리다, but they use 알려주다. This is the same thing with 보이다. People all actually just use 보여주다 to literally to show 보이다 with 주다 as a favor, to show someone it as a favor. Like I'm being nice and I'm going to show you. 보여주다. I'm going to show you my whiteboard. I'm going to show you my new marker. 보여주다. So this is how it's actually used. But this comes from the causative form of 보다, to see. So now you know why 보여주다, to show, has this 보다 in it, has this 보 part. It's because it's from the same verb. It's actually the causative form, 보여, from 보이다, conjugated, right? And then 주다. So that's the same thing there. So I also wanted to teach you that. And now that you know causative verbs, you're going to see them a lot of places. You're going to see them everywhere. They're really common. Let's see. How are we on time? Can I do this too? 4:06. Okay. I think I have time to do this also, but I have to be really quick. There's one more way to say to make someone do something or to let someone. Basically, this form. You take a verb stem. This is more for advanced learners, okay? If you're intermediate level, you don't even need this. But advanced learners should know this. 도록, 하다. Take a verb stem, 도록, attach 도록 to the end, and then 하다, to do. This is a formal version of saying to make or to let. It's the same thing as doing 계하다. Same as 계하다. 도록 actually has the same meaning as 개, pretty much. It's just more formal version. And it has other uses, but in here, it has the same meaning as 계하다, meaning to make someone or to let someone do. This is not commonly used because I said it's more formal, but you might hear it in speeches. At the beginning of a meeting, the president might walk up in front of everyone and say, 자, 그럼, all right, everyone, 시작하도록. 자, 그럼 시작하도록 하겠습니다. Can you see that on the, yeah. Oh no, you can't see below here. Let me go over here. Okay, 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 하겠습니다. So, 시작하도록 하겠습니다 literally means I will make it so that we start now. Or, I'm going to start it. 시작하게 하다 or even 시작시키다. 시작시키다. To make it start. Right? So this is also causative, but it's a formal version of I will start this meeting now. Like, all right, let's get things started. It's a very formal way. So you'll only see this in formal situations. Don't use it regularly in Korean, but know that the 도록하다 has the exact same meaning as the 계하다 form. Hopefully some of you are advanced in here. So some of you could get that. If you're a beginner, do not write that down. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm just suggesting that you don't need to learn it yet. And, okay, so we're almost done. One more thing I just wanted to say is, again, as I've said before already, you don't need to think of these as causatives. You don't need to think of these as causatives so much. You can just think, oh, this verb means 죽이다. Just learn this verb as to kill. You don't have to learn this one as a causative if you don't want. You can just learn it as to kill. You'll use it 100% perfectly because that just means to kill, you know? Use it with an object marker, just like you would if the verb actually meant to kill, because it does. Causatives, just learn the verbs as they are. Learn the verb 입히다 as to dress. You can make a note next to it, you know, C for causative if you want, just to kind of remember it. But you don't need to learn how to make every verb into a causative or to be able to recognize that a verb's a causative necessarily. You just need to know the definition of that verb because that's how they work. They just work like regular verbs. So if you just memorize them like regular verbs, you'll also be okay. Knowing that they're causatives will help, but it's not necessary. And another note I wanted to make, that's all for today. I'm going to read, we just finished the lesson today. Thank you everyone for coming. 보이다 is passive and causative. No, well, kind of. Oops. Ameriliz, what it is that there is a passive verb 보이다, and there's also a causative verb 보이다. They are not the same verb, but they look the same. So technically there is a causative 보이다 and a passive 보이다, and they're different, but they look the exact same. So yeah, you can just think of them as the same. Although it's actually 보이다 made as a passive using an E ending, and 보이다 made as a causative using an E ending. There's a Talk to Me in Korean lesson for 도록. Yeah, there probably is a Talk to Me in Korean lesson as well. They have a lot of lessons too. My phone decharged at 살다. Oh no. Okay. Korean religious services. Yeah, you could hear it at a religious service, any sort of formal meeting. So company meeting, religious service. Yeah. So again, all of these outlines, and I'm also going to update this one with, I did a few extra verbs than I put on here, and there's a lot of sentences. I have an example sentence for every single one that we did today. I didn't have time to do them all. For example, some of them had a lot of example sentences, but these outlines will all be uploaded on Patreon. I'll put this one up within an hour, and those are for every tier of Patreon. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, and then if you want to get updates about new live chats, new live streams, join the Discord. If you're a member, make sure to connect your Discord and you'll automatically get access to a special members only channel where I sometimes post like outtakes or behind the scenes photos and stuff like that. So check out the Discord, it's really active. And now I'm going to look at the chat just for a few minutes before we finish up here. because I did get to finish early. Even though yo is used, 알아요 doesn't sound as polite to me. Yeah, that's right, because 알아요 just means I know. It doesn't mean I get it. 알겠어요 is kind of more like I got it. And 알아요 just means I know. So if someone tells you something, you say 알아요, it means like, hey, I already know that. Why did you tell me? And if you say 알겠어요, that means, okay, now I know it because you told me. I get it. That's the difference between 알아요 and 알겠어요. Okay. Any other questions about this? I could cover. I got 5 minutes and then I'm going to stop the stream so that we stay within 2 hours. Noah Deeps. I learned several verbs like this before I knew that they were causative. Yes, that's right. That's kind of one of the points I wanted to make is that you might have already learned a lot of these verbs just not knowing that they were causative. And now that you know they're causative, that might help you to use them a little bit better in the future and recognize more verbs when they're being used as causatives. And also it might help you to not to misuse some verbs. Like if you learn, like for example, if you learn the verb, 앉히다 for to seat someone. Well, you might want to tell someone, please have a seat. 앉혀주세요 or something. You might misuse it if you don't know that this is a causative verb, which means to seat someone, to make someone sit down. So knowing it's causative can help, but you don't necessarily have to learn all of these as causatives because you can just learn this correctly as to seat and learn an example with it and know how to use it without even having to worry if it's causative or not. But at least now you know, like if you don't know the causative verb for a certain verb, you can always use the que 하다, que 만들다 form or one of the other forms I told you. So 2 different verbs that are written the same. That's correct. And there are a lot of those in Korean. There are also verbs in Korean that function as both a descriptive verb and an action verb. And then it's only one verb though. It's one verb that can function as both a descriptive verb and an action verb. And when it's used as one or the other, it has a different meaning. There's also several verbs like that. A really common one is 늦다, to be late. 늦다 means to be late. But there's also 늦다 as in you are late. And there's 늦다 as in you arrive late. And they use different conjugations for that, depending on which one you're using. Oh, I got another donation. Some kind of uniform. Oh, uniform. So sorry. I was like, wait a minute. Some kind of unicorn. Awesome. Thanks for another awesome lesson. Thanks for donation. Some kind of unicorn. Some kind of you. I'll put that down there. Well, what's that? I think I hear people around me. Oh, I think the subway doors are opening. Awesome. Okay. This is great. It's great. I think I'll be able to get out of here when this is over. That's good. I thought I'd be trapped in here all night. Become a Patreon supporter. Oh yeah. And again, Patreons, check the Patreon page about 1 hour from now and you can see the outlines for all of the previous streams. As well as today's will be uploaded within 1 hour. And if you have recommendations for future live streams and you're a Patreon, I take your suggestions at higher priority than everyone else. So if you're wondering, how do I pick the options that I put on my board? Oh, cool. If you're wondering, how do I pick the options that I put on the vote each week on Tuesday? That's where I get the options from originally, is from my members, from my Patreons, from my YouTube supporters. And then I let you guys all vote on which one you want the most. Sam Strongarm. Sam S. Strongarm. Oops, that's the pound. Thanks again, Billy. A shame about the freezes. Oh, I didn't notice it. Yeah, I didn't notice any freezes. It must have just been on YouTube's end. Because if I was having internet issues, the YouTube program would show me that it's having like hiccups or I don't have a good connection. But it's been showing me the whole time I have a really good connection. And it's still actively updating. Yeah, and there's no notifications. It doesn't tell me even like bad connection, because it'll tell me like periodically it'll show the updates of how the stream health is. Like it'll say bad or not active or good or low, and then it'll show the timestamps, but there's only one timestamp. Just stream. Stream's healthy. Good. So I really don't know what's going on. It must be on YouTube's end with displaying the stream. I'm hoping that a few hours from now, when the stream is processed, that everything will look okay. Oh, it's Woods. RN. Is Woods. Wow, nice. Awesome. $10 donation. Wow. Oh, I forgot to do a dab for Some Kind of Unicorn and Sam Strongarms. Let me do that first. Some Kind of Unicorn. Sam Strongarm. Okay, now I got to do Is Woods RN. Hold on, let me write you up here. Is Woods RN. Thanks for the gigantic $10 donation. They do a gigantic dab for that. I almost used 10% of my power for that dab. Thank you. Let's see. Anything that you would recommend as reading practice for causatives? You can search the term 사동사 on the internet, and you could probably find a list of a bunch of other verbs, but I don't usually recommend learning verbs from a list because you don't have any sort of context with them. You don't know how common they are or how to use them. So I wouldn't really do that. I wouldn't go out of my way to learn causatives separately. Just the ones that I taught today, though, are the majority of the most commonly used causatives. So if you learn the ones that I taught today, you'll be good for most cases. For more causatives, though, I wouldn't recommend going out of your way to learn them. I would say just learn them in context as you talk with people. Just got one more minute here. Vincent, 있으세요 versus 계세요. 계세요 would be for a person. 있으세요 could be for an object. Technically, grammatically wrong, but used for an object when you're talking about an object that someone owns or has, or something that's for someone, and that person who would be someone you normally talk about honorifically. I actually have a live stream about this, as well as I have a video about honorific Korean on my channel too, so you can check those both out. But yeah, they're completely different, 있으세요 and 계세요. That's not what subway doors sound like? Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, Iswoods, you sent a donation. As maybe the chat's not up to date. Maybe that's the problem. But yeah, Iswoods, I totally saw your donation and your name's up here. So I think the chat might just be lagging. Right now, it just shows Iswood's message saying I sent a donation, but it's not gone through. And it says that on all my devices. So I think it's just a YouTube issue today. Not my internet or anything like that. Unfortunately. Yeah, I think you guys are just really delayed like 2 or 3 minutes. The buffering reminds me of dial-up internet days. Oh no. It's terribly sorry about that. Yeah, YouTube's showing me, my streaming program shows me really good. YouTube shows me really good streaming quality. There's no hiccups. I don't see any hiccups going on. So yeah, but I believe you guys it's cutting out. So I'll check after a few hours once the stream has been processed completely, then I'll check to see if it's okay. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for coming. If you have any more questions for me, feel free to pop into the Discord and you can ask them there. I am in the Discord a lot of the time, so yeah, I'll be happy to help you answer your questions if no one else is there. Or there are several moderators in the chat, some of who can also help you with questions. And some native Koreans also who can help you. So everyone, thank you for coming. I should probably put this back where I found it, because I don't know whose whiteboard this is really. So put this back. Okay, I'll leave that for them. They'll probably come back to it. So yeah, thank you guys for coming and see you in the Discord. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.